Hi, this is Paul.
And this is Cody.
And this is Power Level on Child of Light.
The story and the writing in this game seem pretty fun. You know, it's a fairly basic thing. A young adventurer starts moving through and needs to fulfill a quest in a magical land, meet some friends along the way, and it's done in a fresh way, and with this art style, it all really works well. And the rhyming is charming. At first. Yeah.
The writing in this game is phenomenal, and if it wasn't for that, it rhymes everything. Literally everything that they do, the story would be top-notch in my book.
They even rhyme about butts!
This brings me to my saving grace in this story. Rubella, the white mage that you get, the Jester. This Jester is phenomenal because she can't rhyme. She starts off everything in poetry and prose, and then finishes off with a word
synonymous with what she meant. They correct her on a word that means the same thing that she said, but what she said didn't rhyme, that's all.
Because of this breakup in the monotony that is the rhyming scheme, I appreciate this character so much.
The art style of this game is really fun and colorful. They have like this really nice watercolor, pastel, bright colors, fun to look at, easy to look at. Nothing's like jumping out at you too bright, too dark, and looks nice.
Nothing really overbearing in the style itself. Coupled along with the music in the game, it really kind of pulls it all together in this really solid feeling.
Yeah, and the music fits where it needs to. It's like, you know, they have a good action-y, like, epic soundtrack stuff going on when you're in the middle of fights, and they even have different ones for the boss battles and different cutscenes and stuff. And then you're basically working with elevator music when you're in the overworld, which is great. Like, it's just good ambient music to listen to. It's not obtrusive, but it fills the silence.
It's a kind of thing that you expect gamers to go out and look for the soundtrack of, because
right.
It is on its own beautiful music.
Right, which we plan on doing. So,
definitely.
Yeah. Activities in the overworld are pretty fun. You got the art style already, which makes everything look great in the first place. And you get a little bit of platforming at the very beginning to move through the world and figure out how things look and how things operate. And then you get the flight system pretty damn early, which opens up a whole other axis of exploration and allows for a lot more freedom of movement and just interesting puzzles and placement of things. And what's his name? Igniculus, but we call him Firebutt pretty early. You use him a lot too in terms of puzzle solving and helping you do things like open up those flowers that you'll come across once in a while, run that little light course that they do, and you can get some more HP back, some more MP back.
Fill up the light meter to keep him going when you need him in combat, or
just in general, because you can use him to stun enemies and stuff in the overworld if you need to, if you're running low on HP and stuff.
Yeah, you can heal yourself too just by having him shine his light around you.
Right. The combat system in this game is awesome. It's still a turn-based combat system, RPG type thing, but it has a action meter in this one instead of just being my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn type combat. It opens up a whole lot of strategy because speed is a real factor now. Like you move along the action bar faster and slower depending on your actual speed stats. This is is just way more interesting than the stupid my turn your turn thing that we've seen in so many other RPGs.
One of the cooler features in the combat along with the action bar is the whole interrupting that you can do. When they start casting their things, when they get to the cast section of the bar, you can smack them in the face and just knock them way the hell back in the bar and make them take a lot longer to get their spells off.
Sometimes they can't even do anything. You're too good at it.
It can really be clutch. Using Firebutt's power, you just slow down the enemy and just go to town on them with all your abilities.
And on top of that, to protect you from getting interrupted is the defense option. Instead of choosing to hit them or cast a spell at them or something during your turn once you get to the cast section, it also throws you back in the action meter a little ways, but while you're defending, you take a lot less damage. You speed up a lot over the action bar so you get back to the cast section of it sooner. And while you're still in defense mode, once you get back to the cast section, you're far less likely to be able to be interrupted, even if they do hit you while you're attempting your action.
Another feature in combat is the ability to switch your party members out mid-fight. When they reach the start of the casting bar, you have the option to swap out the second player with one of your other characters. So you can swap out to however you feel is necessary for that combat, and you lose nothing in the long run for this. It is extremely beneficial skill that should be taken advantage of as much as possible. The co-op in this game is a lot more than what I gave it credit for, since I went in not expecting co-op. I didn't even read that it was co-op. They give the option to the second player to control the little fire sprite Igniculus. He has the ability to heal Aurora, solve puzzles by shining his light from his rear. And he's a very essential part to the gameplay itself, because during combat he can gather the flowers from you to collect HP, MP, or more of the light meter to slow down your enemies.
Unfortunately, he still does have the light meter limitation like he does in the overworld. It makes it so you can't overuse him, because you'll eventually not have him, and then suddenly, if you need to slow somebody down, or heal Aurora or something in a pinch, now you don't have him, and that becomes a problem. The light meter does come back over time, and you can get more light meter from the flowers, which regenerate slowly during the course of a fight, but it can be a problem. So you need to make sure to utilize that correctly and not too quickly. Leveling up in this game seems really fast and simple. Like we never had very long to wait between levels. And it is the main way to boost stats, though, since there are no weapons or armor or accessories or anything to switch out other than your Oculi. But leveling up also gives you skill points to spend in your skill trees for each character. The skill trees have 3 different paths that offer different bonuses and upgrade different abilities and different actions. They seem a little bit cluttered and are differently laid out for each character, so it can be a little bit hard to read at the first, but once you look through it a little bit, they're pretty easy to figure out.
The enemies in this game are really well designed. They have enough vibrancy and color where they need to be, and they also blend in enough where they might want to be sneaky, and if you're not paying attention, you might run into one just head on.
Like I did with this gargoyle.
Oh, look at that right there. See? He messed up.
Well, the enemies look cool. It's not immediately obvious what type they are. Every one of the enemies are weak to a specific element, but it's not like they have a body of ice or like are on fire or something all the time, so it's easy to tell what they are. You kind of have to do a little bit of trial and error to figure out what you need to do against them. And even so, the element typing isn't exactly a devastating, overwhelming advantage. It just helps you get through them a little bit faster and a little bit safer. Also, hope you didn't plan on sleeping tonight, because these spiders are some seriously high-octane nightmare fuel.
Look at that face. Look at it! Oculi. The replacement for armor and weapons. This stuff is amazing.
Super useful.
The stuff that you can do with this goes from the mundane to the fantastic. There's different oculi that either increase your weapon damage in a type of element, and then at the same time, the oculi has different effects for the other slots that you put it in. So one oculi that might do lightning damage, it also reduces physical damage by 10%, and another one reduces magical damage by 10%. The stuff that you do with this is phenomenal and lets you build your character how you want.
The whole system is simple and fun. Finding even the most basic one is always useful, because you can combine them into different oculi. Like, say, you don't need the simple one anymore, so you can combine a bunch of the simple ones and make a better ruby and have more fire damage or more fire resistance or whatever you might need.
So the nice thing too is you can combine the different oculi, so a sapphire and a ruby can make an amethyst.
Or an emerald and a sapphire can make a tourmaline.
So just experiment with these different colors and see what different effects you can get out of it. It's a great little system, covers a lot of different areas.
So overall, Child of Light is a great game. It's got a fairly interesting story, great art, one of the more fun combat systems in an RPG that I've played in as long as I can remember. Interesting characters, awesome enemies, a fun crafting system with what are basically materia, but they're calling oculi in this game. I just can't say enough good things about this game. So overall, we have to give this game an 8
out of 10. And don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.